Hello and welcome back. In this episode, Amir is going to show us how we can use Rake in combination with MSBuild to make maintaining our build scripts simpler and easier. We'll first learn how we can use MSBuild and refactor it into different targets, and then we'll take a look how we can actually use Rake in combination with MSBuild to make building and maintaining our scripts easier and simpler. Let's go ahead and take a look.
Hello and welcome back. My name is Amir Baylko, and today we're going to see how to refactor our MSBuild file into different targets and how we can use Rake to make our life easier when it comes to build, maintain, and create new targets for our builds. So I'll just show you first the structure I usually use for my project. Here with a bit of zoom, we can see that I have a lib folder with all my dependencies, a main folder for my main projects. The output is just generated, it doesn't matter. I have a test with all the tests from my projects and a tools where I store all my tools in order to build and to generate different statistics and other interesting targets for my project. Here I have my MSBuild and my solution and some settings. So let's go back and let's start by looking at my MSBuild. Some time ago I was looking at a very similar MSBuild and I thought that it was a bit of a mess, because when you look at it you see lots of stuff and it's very hard to understand at first, and many of my team members will complain with me about that. So let's look at it briefly to give you an idea. So first I have my build targets that you can build, clean and rebuild. Then I have my test targets. In order to run all my tests, I'm using Galio in this case, and I can just test all my tests or just one assembly or one class. And I have a StyleCop target on the same file in order to run the Microsoft StyleCop tool. StyleCop is a code analyzer that you can configure which rules you want to analyze. And finally I have my deploy targets. In this case, for me, deploy means that I'm going to change the assembly info to reflect the version in the repository, and then I'm going to build and create a DLL and zip the assembly and put it in a folder. So as you see, and inherently using XML, it's very hard to understand all these tasks and to remember all of them and to maintain. So I'm going to do something very simple that you can do too, and I'm going to start separating based on what kind of targets I have. I'm going to grab my build targets and I'm going to move them to a new file. This file is going to be also a project, and I'm going to add this last project at the end, and I'm going to save it under Tools, MSBuild, and I'm going to call it build.targets. A bit of syntax highlighting, and that's better. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing with the others and fast forward and see you in a bit. Okay, so I created my build targets, my deploy targets, StyleCop, and test, and they all live under Tools, MSBuild. So let's look back at our MSBuild file. So we managed to make it more readable, but also we managed to remove all functionality from it. So how do we add back our functionality by importing the project's targets that we want. In this case, we want tools, MSBuild, build.targets. And with this, we're importing all the build tasks back into our project. Let's see if that works. So I'm running a rebuild and everything runs fine. I'm going to put back all my functionality. So we have test, deploy, and style code. And there you go. And now your MSBuild file is clean and very clear what targets are included. However, we haven't managed to make a better documentation for it, because right now either we create a batch file or we have to type every time we want a rebuild or a test all target. So what I'm going to do is to use Rake to improve that. Rake is a domain-specific language written in Ruby to easily define tasks to build other applications. Okay, so in order to use Rake, what we need is a Rake file. And a Rake file is a very easy to write file. I just have one here that I prepared before. So we have some variables, and we have a method that I'm going to use to call my targets. In order to use Rake, the only thing we have to do is to do Rake and pass a T parameter. Of course, what you need to do first is to install Ruby, and either Ruby or Iron Ruby would work, and it will come with a version of Rake. So when we do Rake-T, Rake will list all the targets, all the tasks that has declared. So in order to start writing our tasks, the first thing we have to do is to describe by using the desk keyword what our task will do. In our case, it's going to build the solution, and then we just need to define task in using a symbol, in this case build, and that's it. That's our first task. Let's see how that appears. So you see that we're listing all the tasks, and they appear in our screen. So if we do Rake build now, it won't do nothing because it has no body. So as a body, I'm going to use the call target method that I defined, and this is a very easy way of wrapping all our MSBuild tasks and put a Rake file on top. It's a very simple file. It's a very simple approach. So what we're going to do is to say call target and pass the actually command that I created above, and just say I want to call build. So now our first task exists. So this is the basic idea, and now I'm going to show you a Rake file that I prepared before, and all this code is going to be available on GitHub. I'm going to show you the URL in a bit, and here we have tasks to build, clean, rebuild, and very similar to the targets we had, but we have a huge benefit. Now when we do Rake-T, you can see that we have all our task list for our. You can see that all the tasks are listed to the screen, And this is a very powerful tool because anyone can come and work in our project without any knowledge about how our MSBuild files or how our target files are created, and we can always use build and we can always use Rake in order to show them. So the only knowledge you need is that you use Rake, and you can do Rake-T, and the rest is on the screen. So now if we want to test, the only thing we need to do is to do Rake test all, and as you see, the task is called and the target is executed. Again, this is a very simplistic approach, and my goal is just to show you that even if you want to keep all your targets in MSBuild, using Rake on top will give you a huge advantage. If you want to see the code, you can go to GitHub and look for my nickname and dimecast_MSBuild1, and you'll find all the commits that I did that show the evolution of how to convert this MSBuild file into different targets and then to put a Rake file on top. So I hope you enjoyed the Dimecast episodes and hope to see you soon. Thank you.